recording as well.
Okay, that is so good. Perfect.
Okay, so this is your application. First, are you aware with Maven and MVC?
Yes.
Okay, so it's following the MVC. It's using Maven to manage the dependency. So we directly coming onto the folder structure. What are the folder structure there, and what are the required things? First, we will talk about the each and every file and folders why we are using it here, and after that we'll move to the end-to-end explanation of the one module internally code flow, how the code is working. Okay,
Okay.
so at the very first, this is your root folder of the application. And when you create a Maven project, in very basic, Maven will give us a project architecture that follows the MVC. MVC means we are differentiating the things in three parts. We are dividing the things in three parts, the code development. The first is model, controller, and view. View means whatever the things you can see over the view page, like the code is not the user inside. Like you are a developer, you can check these things, but the user or the end user of the application could not be access the code. User can only see the elements over there, HTML, CSS elements over there at the front end. So all these front end things will come under the view part. And controller means somebody in a mediator in between who is going to take a request from user and perform the requested operation and send a response. So controller is kind of mediator that is going to take a task from user and perform the operation with the help of model and send the response to user. Like as let's suppose you have requested for the login operation. So for the from the front end, you are sending username, password, and hit the login button. The data will be sent it to the controller. Controller will check the data. Is everything is fine? It will send to the model. Model will check it is available into the not available in database or not. Accordingly, model will send the response. Controller will decide like it's correct user or not. Accordingly, it will redirect to the user and send the response back to view. So here we are following the MVC. But apart from the MVC, we need lots of things to develop the things. Like if you can see here, we have one package which is controller, that is a mediator, and one package as a DAO, that is our database transactions. Like it will work as a model. And apart from these two packages, we have a lots of packages. So these are the helper package that will help to develop the application or kind of helpers that when controller will perform its operation, these all other package will work as a helper. Okay, so at the very first package, this is the root package. Okay, if you notice, all the packages contain the same name conversion. Like for suppose we have a in.co.library management. After that, all the package have the same name as a start, and after that, configuration, controller, DAO, DTO, exception, form, and service and utility. Because the Spring scans the controller. When you run this application, you can see here Spring will scan all the components that will come in this root folder. Okay, so after in this root folder, it will check the configuration is there, so it will make the configuration accordingly. After that, it has a controller, it will check the controller accordingly, and it has a DAOs, it will check the DAOs accordingly, and controller form and all the details it will check and process further. So the first package, the root package, contains the starter file. It has a tag called at the rate Spring boot application. So it defines this is the starter class, or you can say the main class in Java. Have you write any program in core Java?
Yes.
Yeah. So there will be a main class that will be a starter from
Mm-hmm.
where we call all the other classes and object. So this is the same kind of things. We are calling this class and we are running this application by this class. This is your root class. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So after that, we have a configuration. So here we are doing the configuration. First annotation is there as a at the rate configuration. It means it's and this annotation will component when component will come here and scan the component, it will known by a configuration take this is the configuration class. And after that, what we need to do, we need to enable the MVC architecture. Okay. After that, we have a view resolver bean and other things that we are configuring here. Have you heard about the tiles? Do you know anything about the tiles or the view page, or if
No, that I have no idea about.
so what kind of configuration is there? The first configuration is a view resolver. View resolver means we have it contains the view means it's related to like something from the front end things. So we have these views here under the web WebINF. These are the views that we are doing configuration. We are linking them in with our Spring application. So here we have a tiles.xml where we're defining the definition of all the views. If you notice here, we have welcome page, one definition with a name of welcome that contain the home.jsp file, which is available here home.jsp file. So we are passing the complete path of that file, after webinf, this contain a web fragment, body fragment, and there is a home .jsp. So we are calling it as a welcome. So in the entire project, whenever I need this file, I will call it by this name. Similarly, for the login, we have to give a definition of the login JSP. So this complete tiles.xml contain the configuration or definition of these best fragments or the view part. But after that also, we need to somewhere configure this tiles file. So here we are telling them in a bean, we are going to use some kind of view resolver. And after that, we are setting the path of the tiles XML that we have. So we have set definition as a webinf tiles.xml. After this configuration, we can use all the definitions that we have defined over there. Another resources is there. So it means we have configured this resources folder. It means we can access the resources folder in our Java controllers. So what are the things in the resources? We have a CSS that we are going to use, exclusive templates, files, images, and whatever the things that we require for the front end images and all. So we are giving a path so where the Spring will find the these things under the resource folder. After that, it has a 2 star means it will access all the folder after the resource folder. And the next we have a controller. So controller is again the mediator things that going to take a request from the user and take the response like that going to access the request from the user and send the request to the model and perform the operation accordingly. We'll come on this controller in detail after some time. Just for now, I'm just explaining the folder architecture. So this is the controller. And for the DAO, in the DAO, we are doing the database transactions. How we are doing with Hibernate, we'll discuss later. In the DTO, we are managing the entities or the table format. So according to these definition, our database will be generate, our table will be generate, and also it will work as a as a DTO. DTO means a data transfer object. So whenever we need to send an object over the network, we'll call the DTOs.
So it is basically like a Pojo class.
Yeah, it's more than Pojo. Pojo is a old object format, but DTO extended like after the EJV configuration, we can use the DTOs over there. I will
And
explain. You know,
okay,
like
uh, okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if I'm stuck with some doubt and I have to wait till end, I might forget it. So I just want to clear one more thing. So we are providing mapping from tiles.xml, right?
yes.
But we are using get and post mapping as well. So if we do
No,
get and
tiles.xml is not doing the mapping. I didn't say the mapping. It's contain the definition of our view files.
okay,
They got in the mapping we are using getter and setters. The post and get the request. Requested controllers are there. After those requests, we'll call this. Okay,
okay.
this is the we are doing the definition of the file where exactly our file is available.
So if we directly, define a class as a controller and do get and post mapping with, slash dot whatever the file name is, and we can define the path in application dot property, it should work, right?
No, where it will file the file, like how the Spring will know where is the exactly file is available.
So
In that case, you have to define the complete path from your root directory. Okay, in that case, in case some folder structure make change in between development, then the whole code will be crashed.
Okay.
Okay, we are not passing the complete path here. We are just giving the definitions. Okay, the like project name and other C directory or whatever the directory is available, that's not available here. Okay, in that case, you have to keep the complete path from the like
Okay. If
root directory.
if we were to define the complete path in application.property file, and instead of using two base fragments and body fragments folder structure, we just had one path slash JSP, so it would work, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, I'm sorry, you were explaining the
Yes, yes,
DTO.
yes. Yes.
No, I
MySQL.
thought I broke the flow. Sorry for that.
And okay, so under the DTO, what we are defining, the first thing, if you see, we have entities. It means this will be work as an entity. What is an entity? Entity means entity can be object, entity can be a like you can say any object. Let's suppose you have a chair, like you have a class. Okay, not a class. Class is similar to programming thing. Some real object like you have a table or chair. Okay,
Hmm,
so this is the entity. Chair may have some multiple attributes, like it has a four legs. Okay,
hmm,
yeah, okay, it can be built by some material. So these are the property of the chair. Okay, chair can be fold. That these are the property. Okay, so we are defining this as an entity. It means whatever the properties is available. What is the property? Property, it means whatever the variable inside this. Let's suppose the user is the entity and user have a multiple properties. User can have a name, user can have a surname, user can have an age and all the thing. So we are converting those properties into an object to transfer over the network. Okay.
understood.
Okay, let's suppose I call one object or one user. So I can't send the data over the network and differentiate like a user. I'm sending user difference username and then I'm sending the first name, last name, all the thing. So what entity did here? Entity convert these things into an object, and DTO will transfer that entity over the network.
Okay.
Okay? And other thing, we are defining the table format here. So the table will be generated with this name book. And after that, these are the column will be there. And same the column will be a attribute here in this entity class. And here we are using a log annotation. It means this is a image and it will require a long space to store the data. Okay, like
Hmm.
we can store the text in some minimum memory, but for the image we are specifying the low. It means the large low is required.
Okay. And for image, does it have to be a specific extension like
Yeah,
uh
it should be a ball. In database also, if you see, there will be a ball. You can't see the image. It's you can see the
yeah,
type.
yeah. Okay. No, while uploading it from the form that we have created in, sign up.
Yeah, it
So,
can be JPG or PNG.
and I think I was able to upload some other format as well. I just wanted to confirm what format that is. Give me a second. I was able to, upload .webp.
Yeah, but that will not display the front end.
It is displaying.
Okay, might be the checks is not there because I didn't develop the application.
Sorry, I just have a lot of doubts. I have a review tomorrow, and if the professor asks me anything, I should be able to explain.
Yeah, I will check the checks and will let you know. Okay.
Okay. .webp. Should I mention that in the chat?
Yeah. Okay. Other thing, after DTO, okay, we understand the concept of DTO, right? After that, we have an exception. Okay. In Java, core Java, have you understand the exception class? That is the root class of all the exceptions.
Yes, that is understood. You can skip that.
Okay.
I also had one more doubt in DAO. So we have book. DAO implementation, and we do have its interface as well.
In DAO, sorry,
Yeah,
can you
in
repeat?
DAO, yeah. So in DAO, we have implementation as well, and we do have the interface as well, right?
Yes, yes, I'm coming on that. Like,
Okay.
okay, DAO's there. Okay, in DAO, what we do, like, there is kind of pattern. If you head into the like some factory pattern and some class patterns are there to develop a code, clean code. Development pattern. Have you heard about the patterns?
No.
So there are many patterns like singleton designing pattern is there. So it's
Okay.
depend
Oh,
what
yeah,
pattern we are
I've heard
following.
about
Template
this.
pattern,
Sorry.
abstract pattern, singleton pattern, prototype. So this is following the patterns. Like what we are doing here. Let's suppose we have a user DT, user DAO. Okay, under user DAO, first we have defined in the interface. We have defined all the methods. Okay, whatever the methods we are going to use. Now under the implementation, we are implementing the same methods. But why we are using this? Because let's suppose I am a senior manager and I want my development team will use the same method that I want. Okay, so I keep the name. I just define an interface with these definitions and I give to my team to work on that. So my three developers are working and three developers are writing the same code for the same method. So they can override this interface and they can write the same signature that I've defined, like add name and return type and the public and all the things. And internally they can change their code.
Okay.
Okay, but the
Does
name
it
and
depend
definition will
upon
be
the
same.
So if there are two developers working on add method, so does it if it has different parameters, so it is altogether a different, it will point towards a different method, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. So
Okay.
that's why we are defining the definition here and the implementation under the implementation plan.
Okay. And what is the add repository?
Where is repository?
Yes.
Yes, this is a tag that define it is a DAO, like data repository.
Okay.
Means it will work as a data repository.
And
It's like
we've
like
used
how the spring will know this is related to the database. So this annotation will work like this. When you mouse over on the things, whatever the thing you can see here, and you can read the definition here. Indicate
oh,
this plus repository originally defined the domain and is as a when it come and what is the use of that complete definition, what is the word person you will like anything. Like if you go over the
and
override and you
document
check
also
here,
everything. Okay.
yeah, you can check the documentation here.
And we've used Java development pattern, right? What specific pattern have we used here?
Yeah, singleton you can. Okay, so here we are first thing we are validating the data, what the data is coming, and after that we are processing the data to the further operation. So that form is completely related to the view part. The first thing, the first package that will handle by the from the front end. I will show you in the real time also how they are using this. Just understand this is the attribute that we are validating on the attribute here. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, then null things over there, like the things should not be null that is coming from the front end. Under the service implementation and the service package, all the methods that are related to the business logics. Okay, let's suppose the data is coming from the form, and after that form, I need to perform some business logic, and then here exactly we are calling the DTO also. If I show you some implementation here, what we are doing here, we are just first thing, we are calling the object of DAOs. It means the data that is available into the database. The DAO operations we are calling here. Also, after that, in case I need to put some checks over there, some extra validation over there, whatever the business logic I need to write, I will write under the service classes. After that, we have utilities. Under the utility, we have data utility and data validation. Let's suppose for the extra validation, I need to compare or convert some data somewhere I'm working and I need to convert a string data, object data into a string. So this class contain all these kind of methods where I need some kind of conversion and formatting. So
Okay.
let's suppose I want to convert a string value into an integer. So this the value, this the method that I can directly call from the data utility dot get integer, and I just pass my string and it will give me a proper integer value. So all we can't we are not writing this code again and again. We are just calling it by one line code. That's why we have defined all the methods and this general format. Same
Okay.
thing, we are using the data validator. Okay, so under the data validator, what we are doing here, we are validating the data. Like the first thing, we are validating data into the form. There, we are validating only null values, but not a specific format. But what in case I need to verify a specific format, then all that custom code is available here to verify the name and all the things. Like is it should be a name, it should be a password. So it's using a regex format to validate the data. According to the operation, it will return a true or false value.
Okay.
After that, we have an email build. Okay, let me save the previous recording. Next.
And can you explain what is annotation service and auto-wire?
Yes, uh, annotation service and auto one. Okay, I will comment that point. Just,
I think it is both in service, yeah, implementation.
service means it's defining the service, like how Spring will know. Whatever the first thing you are seeing over the like class, it defines the definition of that particular class. How Spring will know this is a service class. So that annotation will define to the Spring, like this is a service class and treat it as a service class.
And what does the service class do? Basically
Service
provide that.
class perform the business
So,
operation.
okay.
You can see here, class is a business service package. Okay, it's just used to perform the business operations.
Okay.
Okay. Auto-wired, have you create an object into Java, like how we are
Yes.
creating the object in Java, some kind of like class name, then the name of the object, then equals to new, and the class
Is
name.
equal to the class.
But if you see here in the Spring Boot, we are not creating an object like this.
Okay.
Like we have just defined the reference of that DAO, and we are not use any new keyword over there. So the auto buyer create the object automatically for us. We just need to define the reference of that class and then define as a auto buyer. Automatically, it will create a object for us.
Okay. So whatever the name we are giving them after the class name is our object.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and let's come to the view. Okay, after that, we have a SRC main, this resources folder. The static and template is like empty folder over there. That is a standard format for Maven project. After that,
Mm.
we have an important file, which is the application configuration application.property file that contain the configuration of our entire application. That is like we are using some suffix and prefix. So this is the word prefix, like all the layout and web INF is available here. And for the view, like we are enabling the MVC view. So where MVC will find the view. So for that, we are just providing a suffix under the web INF. We have a layout, and under that layout folder, we have a uh, un- under the layouts, we have a views. That is the classic these things. So
Okay.
after that, we have a suffix. So what we need to treat as a view, those files that have a suffix as a JSP. So all the JSP file will be treated as a view.
So under layout, we just have one JSP, that is classic.jsp, right?
Yeah, we are giving the complete path of that. Like here, we are providing some CSS and the required things and libraries. Like we are using font libraries are there, the CSS things are there. So all these styling things. So where all these things will be fine, it will be fine under the layout. Layout means what kind of layout should be there?
Okay.
The styling part, the CSS and all the things.
Okay. But usually we provide a path to our
Like there
front.
are. there are, this is the proper development. We can do like we can copy all this code into each file, each JSP.
Okay.
But if you see, we are not integrating any
Yeah.
CSS, any a header and footer, but still in the front end it's coming. It is coming from here.
Okay. So we're using
Uh,
JavaScript.
yeah, for that we are defining the definition here.
Okay.
Okay, after that we have a database configuration. Under a database configuration, we are passing the URL. So URL of the database. So our database is running on the specific in localhost on the specific port number 3306, and this is the name. So like database is a third-party application. So whenever
Mhm.
we access the application, we need to pass the complete path of that and then the database name.
I think we need
Uh,
to change the driver class name because it has been updated and CJ has to be added after. If you
yes,
scroll the,
after 5.6, it's updated as a CG.
yeah.
We can
So
update that.
that
Yes.
was one error I was getting, so I did change that. I also had one more doubt. I understood this configuration part. So we have done configuration using application.properties file with the same driver, username, password, platform, and dialect. Can we make a hibernate.conf.xml file and make a database connection using that instead of defining it in application.properties?
No, actually, for that we have to change the entire architecture of the application. We have to remove the tiles and the Spring thing as well. That thing you are asking, that is come under the like if we are if you not using the Spring Boot things, we are using only Spring MVC things. Okay, that was a traditional way to do the things. We have to do the mapping into the XML. That is the XML file. Like I think hibernate.config.xml something.
Yeah.
Okay, here also we are using the same things, but we are going through the JPA. Like the configuration is available into the JPA, but indirectly we are calling the Hibernate. So Spring Data, like you can see here, we are calling the Hibernate. Also in the DAOs, we are creating an object of that. Okay, in a Spring Boot after 2.0, they are giving a separate configuration file. There we need to do the configuration.
Yes. And in the main DAO, if we open the DAO folder and we have DAO.java, right?
Yes.
In that we have, can you, not this, we have a DAO.java file. Hold on. Mm, Just give me a second. I think somewhere I saw in user, I mean, it was just DAO.java where we had defined all the session and logging methods and everything. Can't seem to find it here.
For the logs, is using logger.
Yeah. No, but in the DAO.java file, can okay. I think it was something else. Continue. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, so the configuration is done. Here we are doing the configuration. After that, this is used for the testing purpose. Let's suppose if we are going to use some test cases for the file, this that is come from the automation things. If you heard about the Selenium and all, Selenium, JUnit, NUnit, MUnit, the testing frameworks are there. If testers or the testing team want to write the test case to automate the application, they can write under this test folder. Or after that we have libraries. So whatever the external libraries we are using, so this is some Java
Have
libraries.
any, do we
That
have
is
any test file here? I don't think so.
we have just dummy file, but if
Okay.
testing team wants to write that code, they can write here. This is the location where we need they need to write that JUnit test cases or the MUnit test cases.
Okay.
Okay, after that we have this Java 11. So these libraries are coming only from the Java. After that, internally, we are using the Maven. So all the dependencies that we are using into the Maven, that is coming here, where we are defining the definition for the Maven. We are defining the Maven definition here. here into these are the libraries dependencies that we're using after updating this libraries into the form.xml that is coming here into the library Maven dependencies section. Okay, after these we can access the property of these libraries. Okay, next we have a SRC, and after SRC we have main that contain resources, and main folder is Java web. The Java and resources is a clone of these two folder, Java and resources. Like when we run our application, when we deploy our application over the Tomcat server, all these classes will combine, like all this package will compile and come as a front end. Like at the end, all the things should be displayed over the front end only. So here, Java package, all this package that you have defined above, that will come here in this folder architecture, like controllers, DAO, DTOs. It will compile and generate the code, and it will send to the front end. Same for the resources that we have done the configuration for the property file. And the
Yeah.
main thing here, the main important thing here is the web folder. Under the web we have resources, so what the CSS we are using, files or images, some external things that we are using. After that, we have web.inf that contain the best fragment. Best fragment means the common thing into the application, that is the footer and header. And after that, we have like body fragments. Into the body fragments, we have like all the JSP pages for the front end. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next, this is the, and these are the command. This is the important file here. Is a form.xml. It contains the configuration information of the application.
Okay.
Okay, you can keep these things like target, and this is the default structure that is coming from there,
Mm-hmm.
from, from the Maven. Okay, that contain the information of Maven, and this is the CMD if you want to run the Maven from the CMD command. And this thing will require the time of deployment things.
Okay.
Okay, now let's see one flow, how the data is flowing internally. Okay,
Okay.
so let's suppose take an example of logging. So
Hold on.
okay,
Uh, so this is a Spring MVC, right? Is there any way we can convert this to Spring Boot?
this is the Spring Boot only. Under
Okay.
the Spring Boot, we are
But
following
without
the
the
MVC
MVC.
architecture.
Okay.
You can see the first annotation as
Mhm.
Spring Boot application.
Okay. And can you also show me how can we debug this, like using Eclipse or STS, how to run the debug mode? Because I tried and it messed up my configuration, so I had to import it again.
Okay, we'll come into that point. Have to check for some kind of issues there.
Okay. No, it will just open a different layout for debug where you can add comments and you can see where the debug pointer is.
Yeah, I will explain you the flow like without debug as well. It's signed up.
Okay. No, but I actually want to know because he will ask us to debug the application we have built.
Okay, okay.
Okay, let's go with the flow and then we can come to this part.
Okay. So, while we're developing any application, there are four major operations. That is called CRUD operation: create, read, okay, update, and delete. Okay, for any operation, if you're adding the book, you are deleting the book, you are viewing the list of book, and you are adding the books. If you are talk about the user module, You are adding the user, you are deleting the user, you are getting a list of user, you are updating the users. Okay. In each and every module, the same thing will be performed. It means this is a journey to view to database. Like user can see something and that request will travel to the database and the same thing will uh,
It will
so
be
sometimes
displayed
we are, yeah,
and get
sometimes we
data.
are selecting the data and display to the user. So in the login, what we are doing, we are selecting the data from the database. We are verifying the data and sending the data to the view. In the registration process, we are actually entering the data into the database. So we'll see this kind of operation, one crude operation. So under the login page here, under the login page, we have defined the user form. One form is there. You
Mm-hmm.
can see here the form that is sending the request over the post method and that contain login ID and the password. Okay,
So
and this is the
login
button.
form will be called from controller, right? From get mapping, we
Yes,
will call this
yes, yes,
login form. Okay.
yes. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Okay.
Okay, so
Sorry.
when user will submit, click on the submit button, all the data, this username, password will be sent to the login. Okay, and this will be come into the form of or in a form like model attribute, what the attribute I have defined as a form. So remember this name as a form. It will require at the time of controller when we access this form. Here into the controller, and for each and every module, we have a separate controller. So we are performing the registration operation. This is related login operation that is related to the user controller. So we have the login controller here. So under the login controller, just search for the login. I guess it was sending the request over the login. That is okay. This is our end URL, end path of our mapping of
Oh,
our API. So I just go there and the login. Okay. So in the login, we have get.
what is the
This is
variable
the
that was defined earlier in the action before login? That context path in the
where
login.csv. Yeah. So we have page context.request.context path, right? What is this path?
this is the path of this file. That by this we can get the default path of that file. That API. Like before that, like it can't be go as a single login. Like that there should be some folder structure.
Okay.
Let's define the request context path. Okay, under the login controller, then it will ask for the post method, but here this is not the correct controller, this one. After that, it will hit to this method. Okay,
Mhm.
here what this method will contain, it's contain a request parameter as a string operation. Next thing is a session, validate model attributes, and the login form binding result at the model. So if you notice here into the login.jsp, we have defined name model attribute as a form, same model attribute we are calling as a form, and here we are creating an object of the form. Here we have this form, and we are creating an object of this login form, this one, this login form here, and we are calling an attribute. After that, we are binding the result. It means we are verifying this with this form. Whatever the result is coming, that we are verifying this with this form. And this thing automatically Spring will do. We just need to define the form definition in which form we are doing this thing. And after that, we are binding the result. Now, what other thing request parameter string operation? It means what are the parameters is coming from the front end. So under the operation, all the parameters will come as a like what are the parameters over there? Username, password, and the sign in operation. And here after login, if user is logged in successfully, we need to generate a session. That's why we are calling object of servlet session. And other thing, in the model attribute, do we need to validate the things? Yes, we need to validate. That's why we keep a validation annotation over there. And the model is a response thing. Let's suppose whatever the model will send a response, that response we will send by the help of this model object. So here, if you notice somewhere, sending a request. Okay, model that attributes error login ID is not invalid. In case it's valid, it will be redirect to a welcome page. So the first thing here we are defining log information, log info, like this controller is started, and after that we are performing some operation. Operation sign up. If the operation is sign up, it means didn't do anything and just redirect to the sign up page. Means on the login page we have a button for the sign up also. Okay, over the login page we have a button for the sign up also. In case
I'm
user
sorry
will send
for your name. Can you hold on for a second? So in the method submit, we have instead of passing different parameters, we can pass annotations as well.
yes, exactly.
Okay. And this log info is basically if we deploy it on the server, right? Instead of log info, if I want to see it on the console, I can change all the
Yes.
log infos to
This is
sysout.
coming from the loggers. This is coming from the loggers only.
Okay, so if I don't want the logger class because I am not going to deploy this on the server, so I can just search everything, find log.info and replace it with sysout, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
And after that, if request is coming as a sign up, then the page will be redirected to the sign up. In case it has any error, it means if the form is giving any error, it will automatically redirect to the login with some error, or it will display the result, whatever the result is over there. If everything is fine, there is no error, nothing is there, then the controller will next move to the service section. Okay, it is already communicated with a form. After the form, it's going to communicate with the service for a business logic. Okay, so whatever the data is coming in the form of like objects, so the data will be sent it to the form. That form will return a validated data. That data will be sent it to the service class. Under the service, we have a authentication method that will return a user video. Now let's move to the authentication and check what that authentication is doing there into the
Before that, we have this OP underscore sign up, right? It is defined in our controller, right?
uh, this is defined here.
In the controller, right? Okay,
Yes,
no,
in
no.
yes, yes, in
Basic, yeah, yeah. So I mean, um, what is the use? Instead of that, we can use directly save or new or delete or error or next. Why are we using this final string?
let's suppose we are using this operation 1,000 times in this class or in other classes. Okay. And after that, after some time, the front end team will change the name of that sign up button. Then I have to change the thousand
Okay,
time. But here we am defining a final variable. So here I have to just change it once and automatically it will change all the places.
okay,
Right? Okay. So next, let's move to the service class and the authentication. Under the service, we have a user authentication.
authentication. Mhm.
Okay, here, search. User.
What is at the rate transactional?
Sorry.
That annotation, transactional, yes.
Like this is defined like transactional means if we define any method as a transactional, that means it will not store the data exactly into the database, but we can perform the business operation. You can say that each method of the service class will use the transactional. Transactional means it will not store the data into the database. Here it will perform the external operations, business operations. Okay, under the DTO, here we are passing a DTO that is coming from the front end. That DTO contains the username and the password. And this method, what the authentication method doing here, it's just calling again another authentication method from the DAO. It means now data come to view to form, form to control, sorry, view to controller, controller to form, form to service. Now we are moving service to DAO. Now this authentication method we have to check into the DAO section. If you go here and the user implementation, here we are exactly performing the database transaction. So there's a user here. So the same data coming into the form of DTO in here. what we are doing, we are creating a size entity manager object, and we are passing a query here. Select user from the entity, and the query will be verifying the username and the password, and setting the parameter here. If everything is fine, it will send the data. It will return a DTO. Uh,
Mhm.
if the data is available, the DTO will must contain some value. Otherwise, it will return a null. So
Yeah.
according to that null or value, we can verify this thing. So DTO, the DAO was the endpoint. Now again, let's move to the service in the reverse order. So now this DTO will contain some value. Same DTO will be returned to the um, controller, and then controller will handle this GTO here,
And
and
then
now it will keep a check here. If DTO is not equal to null, it means the user is, let's create a session, login session, and redirect the user to the welcome page.
okay.
Otherwise, if it is null, then it will send an error message, login ID password is unknown. Okay, and return to the login page. So this is the entire flow of the login operation. Let's take the same operation for the sign up, where we are exactly inserting the data. So if I move to the sign up registration page here, we are following in the all the operation, we are following the same operation. That is the exactly called the spring, like MBC or some kind of architecture that we are using. So
So
here,
model attribute, can we reuse the name like we had defined form for uh you login as well, so we can redefine it for registration as well. This application won't be confused if what.
sorry, can you repeat?
So for in the login.jsp also, our name, our model attribute name was form. The same name we have used for registration.jsp. Will it not confuse which form are we referring to?
No, like it's depend on the request, on which request. The form names will be same. The check the request on which request they are going to send. Like in the registration, the form is sending to the sign up.
Okay.
Okay, in every file you will get the name same name. But depend on the on which file we have to check the name form.
Okay.
Okay, so we are sending this time the first name, last name, and the complete data will be sent it to the sign up request. Sign up request to the controller. Now let's move to the user controller and check the sign up request for the post. Start there.
Capital S, I guess.
Now this with user controller. Let me check it manually. Search. Okay, login, I guess. Okay, here we have the sign up. Okay, under the login, we are managing the whole thing. So here again, we are doing the same thing. We are calling the request param, like request param, and especially we are defining the profile pic as a multi-part file because it's sending some image or some media file from there. After that, we have another request param as a spring operation that we have done into the login as well. Valid operation form. So what is the form is coming? So this time we are creating an object of user registration form, not login. So under the form, we have one method here as a user registration form. So we are creating object of that. And after that, we are binding the result, creating the model to send the response. Same thing we are checking if the request is come as a reset, it will reset the data and send the data to send the user to the sign up page. In case is there any error into the form, it will send the user to the sign up page. And if everything is fine, then it will send create a DTO object and send that form to the um, service class. So here in the service, from the service, we are calling the add method and passing the DTO that is coming from the front end. And now if I move to this service dot add method that is available here. it will must calling to the DAO. Okay, here it's accepting the DTO and is sending, it's calling your object a method from the DAO that is also accepting a DTO. And now this DAO method will send the data to the database. Yeah, here exactly we are passing the save operation. So it's getting the data and calling a Hibernate session and save the object and pass the DTO. If the data is updated or is it like saved successfully, it will return a primary key. The same primary key will return by this method. This method will handle this primary key as a PK, and sorry, after DAO it will go to the service, yes, and then this service will also return a primary key, and this primary key will be handled by here. But here is everything is clear. It will not send any error because we are using package. So everything is fine. It will display a message success, user registration successfully, and return to the sign up page. Otherwise, there might be, is there any error that is coming from there? That will
Mhm.
be give us a message and will pass the error. So there might be error for the duplicate record exception or any other error. Will redirect at the same page, but will print as a error. Now this success key will be sent it to the view page, this registration page. How that this page is printing those things, that is coming from the business somewhere. If you can see the business JSP, okay. Here we have a business JSP that we are including a file. So there error message, like if you can see there are some red message and some green message will display data successfully or something went wrong. So this
Yes.
is coming from this business.jsp. If you see here, we have a business.jsp that contains a key as a success or an error. The same key, success or error, we are passing from that controller. If everything is fine, if it is a success key, it will display into the green and
Okay.
dollar success. Otherwise, it will display the error. In every page of JSP, we are including this file. Okay. Okay. Now it's done from my side. Now, if you have any question, you can ask me.
Okay. So the delete error which I was getting, why was that error coming and how did you fix it?
Okay, the error was there, like it's not able to find that entity to delete. So what I did over there, I just keep one check over there. Like first, we have to create a entity manager object. Okay, and
Hmm?
if that object is available over there, then it will perform the delete operation to pass the
Content.
DTO. Okay,
Okay.
otherwise it will merge it and then it will delete.
Okay.
Okay. I
And
just keep one condition over there.
yeah, I just saw that it was just a conditional operation.
Yes.
Uh, so instead of POJOs, we have DTO objects, right?
Yes.
Why can we annotate them?
Annotate them means it cannot repeat.
Like basically, yeah, not this one, where only methods were defined. Uh, Not this base DTO, I guess.
This one best GTO.
I think everything is. This is basically like Pojo, right? There is
Yes.
one. Okay, okay, that doubt is cleared. You cleared on the way only. And I can you explain me util link to util once, like why do we have a different folder for util and how it is linked to the entire project?
Util is again like somewhere. Let's suppose I'm getting the data in the form of a object,
Okay,
and we want to convert that object into a string. So we are calling this form here. These methods are conversion methods are there. Convert the data one form to another form is coming from the data utility. Validating the exact data in a particular format is coming from the data validator. And
okay,
you
so
can escape this email builder. And this is a container template of an email if required.
okay,
Uh,
and we are not using Hibernate ORM, right?
it's using Hibernate, but through the JPA.
Oh, through Spring JPA.
Through Spring JPA because we are using Spring Boot and it's
Okay.
compulsory to use that data JPA.
Okay. And There is one. So, while this is very generic, just to answer a few questions that my professor would throw at me. Um, One is like what was the first point of starting to develop this application? We would have already obviously created one Maven project, and it would have given us folder structures. So what was the first point? Means what file after what file we would have created to get this, like one by
Yeah,
one. Just explain me for the login one.
yeah. See, what happened first, we have to define the backend. It's depend on the developers to developer. Okay, if
Okay.
you are working in a team, so part. This is a work of 3 or 4 members. Like designer will work on the front end, the backend developer will work on the backend. But if you are working as an individual developer, as a full stack developer, so it's depend on your. So first thing, we have to check the entity diagrams. Okay, entity diagrams means ER diagram of the database. Okay, so what are the entities are there? The first thing, we define the DTOs. After those DTOs, we'll define the controllers and backend. So we prepare the complete backend. According to that backend, we can create the front end. Also, we can do the reverse order. First, we can create a front end, and then we can create a DTO and the backend. It's totally depend on the like mood of the developer.
Definitely. And we have used Hibernate to get the queries, right? Can you show me where exactly it is written, like at the rate query, and how are we defining it? I saw somewhere one or two things that was from users table. So I just
Yeah,
need
it's whatever the
if
Hibernate thing you want, you will get another DAO package only. So you can check here. What it will be. You can see here create queries from here.
okay. Okay, I think that is all my doubt.
Okay,
I
in
don't
case you have later out, you can ping to the support team. They will share you with some references. Okay, for that. So you can read it out over there. And the best way I'm telling you, just mouse over the things. Whenever
yeah,
you have a
I
doubt,
think I'm gonna
just
do
mouse
that.
over the thing. You can read out all the detail, and this is the authentic information that is
Oh,
coming only from the Java side.
okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I will share the recordings with them. So they will share the recording with you as well. So
Okay.
bye. Thank you.
Thank you for being patient with me. I know I can be little, I
Thank
can.
you.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.